Okay, ladies, I
Good
believe that we
afternoon.
are live. Are you with me?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Limitless Justice. It's a session where we're seeking to advocate and bring awareness to, domestic violence situations, true threats to the life of a beautiful person that was a mommy that was loved by her family and friends. And in addition, I'm with a family that's seeking justice for the murder of their family member. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And be mindful that these are real lives. It's not Hollywood. This is the truth. Um, and we understand that sometimes no one's hated more than those who speak the truth. So I want to thank these ladies for being courageous and stepping up. Um, so love you, ladies. Welcome to us.
Love you too. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So would you just please tell everybody about your daughter? Just walk them into the type of individual she was coming up.
My daughter, Infhone, she was a happy kid. She was a good kid. She had her problems just like most teenagers, and she clinged to me. She was like my right hand. I used to do nails, and she used to be there right with me, watching me do nails, helping me clean up. She was a mama's girl,
Yeah.
you know. Going into her adulthood is when she started having her kids, and she had issues, like I said, just like everybody else, fighting and other stuff. But once she started having her babies, I watched my baby mature, and her babies brought her strength. I seen her change so much, and I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her. She eventually became a business owner. She owned her own food court called Grab and Go, and she was looking to open up a restaurant next. So I just watched her blossom, and she was so helpful. She had lots of friends. She always was helping and taking them to the grocery store, taking them in, letting them live with her, and she just had a heart of gold. She had a heart of gold.
So she's a hardworking mommy,
Yes,
and
very
she's
honest.
loyal to her mommy. You're a mother, right?
Yes, very loyal. We had our issues too. I can't even say we ain't
Yeah.
argue every day, but she be calling me in 5 minutes like we never got in an argument. It's just
Right.
that's a mother daughter relationship. It's just
Right.
been like that, and
Words
I
are
don't love her
words,
no
but
less.
yeah, words are words, but love is limitless, right?
Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is. I just can't even. It's just so hard to not even hear her voice again. It's just so painful. I used to talk to her every day. My daughter called me every morning and asked me the same question, "Mommy, what you doing?" I'm like, "Same thing I'm doing every morning, working." So I just really miss all of that. Just
Yeah. Well, we're going to
it's
bring
just
awareness to the situation, and I don't want your words to be censored. Um,
right. No, I
so this is an
appreciate it.
opportunity for you to speak for Anthony and her children, who
Yeah.
you have custody of now, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So
Yes, I do.
you said that she had a relationship before she was married and had a child, right?
Yes, yes. That was her
And
first child's father,
yeah,
and she had a little girl. Her name is Cherry, Cherish.
so later
So
on, she married in a second relationship.
yeah, second relationship. She married and produced two sons out of that relationship.
So that gives her a total of
Um,
three children.
yes, a total of three children.
Okay. So
Relationship
she's
was,
married.
I mean,
Tell me about her marriage, about her
well,
relationship.
I know she was proud to be married. I was so angry with her. She called me the day she was getting married and told me she was getting married that same day. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, no. She's like, Mom, I'm going to the Justice of Peace. I'm getting married. I'm like, no. I cried my eyeballs out because as a mother, I wanted to be there. I wanted to make sure she looked perfect. And, you know, so
Yeah.
it was kind of crazy because they ended up not being able to get married. So it gave me the opportunity to take her out and get her a veil for her face and, and get her pretty, get her makeup done.
Yeah.
And then I got a party bus and had her a little party, her and her husband a party. And
It's
things
awesome.
synced good. Things synced very well, and the wedding was beautiful and she was happy. She was happy to be a wife and a mother. She talked so much about just being a wife. Like, I'm so happy I'm a wife. I don't gotta run these streets. I'm so happy. She really loved her relationship
So
and fought for her relationship.
Yeah.
She took
You got to
pride
fight
in
to keep your family together, you know?
Yeah, she took pride in that. That was something that prided her, and none of her friends was doing the same thing, so she could have them to look up to. Like, I'm married, I got my business, I got my kids, I'm taking care of my business. We young,
Right.
we can all
Yeah,
do the same thing, even
yeah,
if we is having problems. Like, we still handling our business type thing.
Right.
yeah,
Because that's what family does.
definitely. She is very family oriented. We
And for her to
all
be so young to have that drive, it was
right.
so awesome.
Yeah,
So,
people
so
said they was proud of her.
oh yeah, I'm proud of just hearing about her. So, and I'm proud to know you because you're her mother who brought her up with such
Yes,
ethics. And
she's
you're a
really
business
awesome.
owner and all of that
Yes,
as
I'm
well,
a
correct?
business owner. I wanted to push her to have that same drive. And she did. And she was
Yeah.
coming into it, and she was coming into it fast because her food cart, everybody went to it. Everybody, always talked about it. She had so much business. And I think she was so proud of herself because she didn't know she could be successful.
Right.
And I was just, her whole attitude changed. And I just, once it seemed like once I don't know, maybe a little bit into the relationship, it started being problems.
So after
Um,
you said that during her relationship things started to deteriorate between her and
yeah,
her husband.
yeah, I think maybe 2 years into it, it seemed like maybe she wasn't being honest, and maybe it was already problems. But
No,
I
it was
started
before
actually
that.
seeing them.
She started being
Seeing what?
honest.
I just started seeing like
She
the
said that
arguing more and
she
more,
just wanted to
Hmm.
grasp onto that
and
happiness.
the I started seeing bruises, and she wasn't being honest about bruises, and then it was like getting phone calls late at night screaming. Like, for some strange reason, my daughter's phone used to call me on an accident all the time, and I would hear arguing and screaming in the background, arguing and screaming. And, it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And from there, she was in the hospital getting 10 stitches in her lip and black eyes and hair ripped from her scalp, like bald spots, like literally braids ripped out of her head. And it just was breaking my heart. It was breaking my heart. And I just was begging her to come with me, move
And
with me.
what was this? Were these traumas
Oh
in
God.
regards to
Yeah.
a domestic situation? Was this
Yes,
between her and her
Yes.
trauma
husband?
definitely to a domestic situation. It was one time where she had to get the stitches in her lip.
She had
And
like a cleft palate type looking lip type thing.
her husband came to the hospital and the doctors flipped out because they knew he did it, and they told him he needed to leave the hospital. And I just never forget, she said, the doctor said to her, okay, baby, I'm gonna try the best that I can to keep you beautiful, and it just hurt me that,
Yeah.
people are putting my baby back together like she's like a doll, like they have to stitch my baby up and peel her eye. And just the last, before she came up missing, the last incident she didn't even tell me about. My son said he choked her unconscious. And when she woke up, he was getting dressed and leaving the house.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the week of my baby coming up missing.
Yeah,
So
words are
he had
one
been,
thing, but when you start putting your hands on someone and splitting their lips, sending them to the hospital continually, it's a problem. Now, to be honest, you and I have spoken prior to this interview
yes,
right now, if you will. Um, and one time the police were called and she was arrested.
yes, that was December of 2019. I was in Punta Gorda, Florida, and I
Yes.
sent for her. I paid for a ticket for her to come down there with me. And she was supposed to be going to get on the airplane. And she went home. I think a couple of her and her friends got into an argument, and her husband came home, and she was more or less like asking for his help, like, can you please make them leave from in front of the
Yeah.
house so I can get, ready to go out of town.
Yeah.
He always, anytime she was ready to go out of town with me and he wasn't going, he was jealous. So I believe he just didn't want her to go. So she said she went into the room to pack her bags. I was on the phone with her while everything was going on. He threw all her clothes out. And I guess when she went to like grab her clothes, that's when I guess he hit her. I guess her eye was swollen shut. He beat her up. But by the time the police got there, she was fighting him back. And he told the police that her friends beat her up. The girls that was
So,
in front of the house.
and she was arrested.
She was arrested for defending herself with her eyes swole closed, and
So the
because
police
she was
come to a
hysterical, she was
domestic
crying.
situation in the house,
Yes,
uh, to the house, if you will, and she's attacking him
Mm.
because at this point, her eyes swollen shut and her face is bloody,
yes,
and they arrest her because they see her attacking him, and he tells
exactly.
her her friends did it,
Exactly. He tells the police that she got in a fight with her friend, and the friend did it when, she's telling them that he did it, and it's just
and she's
no
sitting there
way.
telling him he did this to me,
Yeah. And they put her in jail.
and they arrested her.
Yes.
How did that make you feel then about
I
relying on the
cried.
justice system?
I was in Punta Gorda crying the whole time. I talked to my baby from jail the whole time, like, and I just cried because it was strangers in there trying to nurse my baby's eye,
Yeah.
because it was swollen shut. And from what I understand, when she went to court, the judge looked at her and instantly was like, let her go. Like they couldn't even understand why they arrested her.
So did they drop the charges?
You know what? I don't know if we made it to that. I'm not sure whether the charges got dropped or not.
Sure.
I'm not sure, but
But moving forward, yeah, please forgive me.
I know that she went back to court for it. I don't think I see it on her record at all, so I'm really not sure.
Sure.
I'm really not sure, but it just was that's when she came and she stayed with me for almost 2 weeks. And then once again he shows up, McDonald's for the kids, and I'm just like, Infa, you don't have to do this.
So when
But I
she
think
got out, did she go back home?
no, she came to my house.
And then you said a couple weeks later
She
he
spent
started
Christmas
popping
at
up
my
again.
house. We didn't allow him over. We didn't allow him. He didn't. I think he didn't come back around until January because my birthday is December 20th. So that was around the time I was sending for her, and
Okay.
that was like one of her best Christmases. I have a video of it and everything, and it was just. I think she was so
Is that
proud
when
to
they
be
had
able
like the
to.
matching pajamas?
Yeah, she was so proud to be able to um, just
Heal.
provide for her family and probably feel
Yeah.
safe. And you know, no mother can keep looking at their daughter's face looking like that,
Oh no.
and her body hurting, and it's just tragic. It's tragic. It's
So
tragic.
she
And
ended
I
up
just,
taking him back,
yes,
right?
yes. I personally believe the marriage was because of her wanting to leave. I believe that was a gunshot wedding just because she was ready to go and like, no, just marry me because it was cheating going on. He had
Yeah.
he,
They
he had
probably dating back
he
then
had
too. And
videos
all that shit it
of
was.
her credit cards in his phone,
Dudes don't just start
front
that
and
shit
back, like it
overnight.
was
That
money
shit
being
comes
stole.
from way
It was
back.
just, I think she was just starting to get fed up. She was getting really fed up and tired, like, because she started not feeling like a wife anymore.
Yeah. Look, this video could very well
That,
be used as testimony. So ladies, make sure when you do speak, speak one at a time.
Okay.
sorry.
And no, it's okay. I'm just trying to be forthcoming.
Okay.
So she ended up taking him back. How long after would you say time frame from when she was released for domestic? When
Um,
he beat her up, according to
I think
Miss
almost
Anthony.
3 weeks. Almost 3 weeks.
Okay.
It took about three
So
weeks.
so they're back
But of
together.
course,
And
yeah, they're back
this
together.
isn't just an argument. This is physical violence
Yes,
continuing.
physical. So of course he came with rings and shoes and clothes, like, and that's where, I hate that she, felt like material would cover up the bruises
Yeah.
because I didn't raise her like that. But, I think
So
like
she moved
most
back.
girls, they could be a little materialistic and want, special things. I think she wanted somebody to take care of
She
her
was
and
young.
love her,
She was young.
So,
She
Yeah.
was allowed to think that.
but yeah, so she eventually went back. And of course, from there, it was still a lot of violence. It was one time I remember I had to go over at like 3 in the morning and help her board her windows up because he busted the windows out and the kids had stepped on glass and she was beat up and the kids were crying because they had glass in their feet, so it just
Real domestic
continued.
violence.
It continued.
It continued. And were the cops called on those occasions when windows are broken or any of that jazz? Her phone might have frozen, so we're gonna wait. My heart's heavy just from listening to this, though. What if it were your daughter, your family? So that's something to be mindful of for those that are watching while her
We can get to
camera's
the
down.
part.
What happened?
It's
Got
all
us?
right. You're picking right up where you left off.
Okay,
Okay.
So
good.
she took him back, and the abuse continued. I asked, did any other officers, were there any other calls after she was charged with domestic violence? Had he ever been charged with domestic violence?
Yes, I do see a domestic violence charge on there. What I was thinking about doing was I was going to call the sheriff's office and see how many phone calls were made, because I think a lot of phone calls might have been made, but with them being married, they might have done situations of just making him leave instead
Yeah,
of taking them to jail.
right.
Because that probably is easier.
On the episodes where he broke in the windows and the kids stepped on glass, and according to the testimony that you're giving,
Yeah,
did the
yeah.
officers ever come on those occasions, or is just family
I
stepping
think
in?
they came, but by then he was gone.
Okay,
So it was more of a, it's funny how sometimes you can report a domestic violence and they'll put a warrant and go find that person. But other
right.
times they'll be like, well, you got to go down there and press charges. So I think that's where
Flexible.
she didn't follow through sometimes.
Yeah,
And I think in domestic violence situations that end like this, they need to start taking them more serious. And I think they need to do the report right then and there. It
Before you
needs to
even
be
get
done
to
right
the
then and there. Because what if
right,
they don't make it down there? What if that
before you
person
even get
comes
to
back
that
and
point,
hurts them?
right. Straight up.
hearing
And I think they need to be taking these situations serious, because at the end of the day, to protect and serve means to protect and serve. It's not a
Definitely.
secret. Um,
Definitely. I know he has
so
this is my problem too. I feel like the system failed us because he already had a kidnapping and terrorism and torture charge that they let him go on. And I'm just like,
who was that of?
her husband.
So her husband had what charges?
Kidnapping, terrorism, and torture.
Of who?
I don't know who the gentleman was. It doesn't really tell me. When I started checking his record, I didn't even know that was on there.
Well,
And that happened in 2019 also.
so let's move forward into the continued. How long have they been together?
A total of 5 years.
Okay. Now I want to shift gears with you, okay?
Okay.
And let's step up to 2020 in December.
Okay.
How was her relationship and her life at that point in time?
2020 of December, I think she realized that she was done. I
She
seen a
realized she
different
was done
glow.
getting
I
beat.
seen a different conversation. And I just remember I just remember having a conversation with her and she just was like, Mommy, I'm tired. I'm done. I deserve better, Mom. I'm done. I told him I met somebody and I don't want to be with him anymore. At this time, he was incarcerated for a domestic violence charge that I don't think it occurred recently. I think it was a warrant or something. Maybe he didn't go back to court for a domestic violence charge. So
Yeah,
he was arrested and was in jail for about a month and a half. And he was calling and repeatedly calling, like seconds behind. And she's like, Mom, I'm so tired of him calling. I'm so done. Because once she went and got his property and realized that he had her credit cards and stuff in his phone, she was really upset. Like, because with the COVID and everything, I was helping her get grants to continue to run her business safely and
yeah,
to practice COVID safe methods and put the plastic up, the plexiglass up so she could continue to serve food.
right,
And so she had got a grant, and I think that was the reason for taking a picture of the credit card, but I guess he forgot he did it. And once she seen that, she was like, Mom, I'm done. So from
yeah.
there, she told him she was done.
So
And
pause for a second. You said that she
okay,
found and his phone pictures of her card,
Her
her,
credit card, yeah,
her credit card, front and
front
back.
and back. And it
Wow.
showed my mom was still living at the time. My mom showed me her email where she changed her PIN on December the 8th because I guess maybe he had just stole some money or, well, I don't know whether he stole the money before he went to jail, but I know that she bonded him out. If I'm not mistaken, December the 6th, that was the day after my grandson's birthday
So hold on a
because I
second.
remember being
Why
over
was
there
he
for his
incarcerated?
birthday.
Why was he incarcerated December 6th?
Domestic violence.
So in December, or was it November? There was a domestic incident.
Well, no, it's December. He was still in jail. I
So
think he
there's a
went to jail
domestic
in
violence
November, but he was still in
situation.
jail in December.
So he physically assaulted your daughter again, is what you're saying?
You know what? I'm sure he did, but I don't think that charge that he was arrested on was done right then and there because, like I said, my son told me that she called him and said he choked me unconscious.
Yeah.
And then when I woke up, he walked out. So I don't even understand why she didn't call the police then. I think she felt like she was ready to leave and she thought she could just leave instead of, continuing the domestic. I guess I don't know why she wouldn't call the
So she was
police after he
planning to
did
move
that.
forward. It sounds like
Yeah.
she may have even met someone,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So she gets money in. She's up and up on her grant and her company and
Yes.
transitioning with COVID and still taking care of her babies. And she's
Yes.
happier than ever because she's made a decision to move on with her life. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I was so proud. I heard it in her voice. It was a different tone in her voice the last day that my daughter was living. It was such a different tone. It was just she was singing and it's just I never seen her feel so free. I just know she was really leaving.
Yeah.
And earlier that week, he had tried committing suicide, which he tried to do some things to himself, which he didn't follow through with. And I guess we should have looked at those as signs. And she was more or less like, I'm not with him anymore, but I want him to. I don't want to put him out on the streets either. So I want him to get himself together, and then we're gonna separate. But I guess he had other plans.
So he gets out of jail from a domestic arrest or whatever the arrest is
Yes,
for. Okay. And that's December 6th, right?
yes,
And
7 days
did,
later, he pulls that shit.
no, so let's just go right to when he gets out. Did
okay,
they share a same house at that point still?
yes,
So he came home.
yes. Let me skip back really quick. Before he actually got out of jail, he had somebody sitting outside the house watching the house,
So
and
how long
I
was he
guess
in jail for that
maybe
domestic stint?
I think maybe about a month and a half. I really wasn't paying attention. I
So
haven't looked all the way
he went to
into it.
jail in October or November 2020.
Yeah, something like that.
And he gets out
Yeah, I
December
remember
6th.
he
But
went
during
he
that
went to
time
see his
period,
probation officer and they arrested him.
he went to see his probation officer and they arrested him for that. Okay.
Yes.
So during that month and a half, what was your daughter experiencing while he was in jail and she was out? You said that there's
Fun, fun. She was happy. She was doing things. She didn't feel controlled. She was going out. Me and her was shopping together. We was just spending a lot of time. We was doing stuff with the kids. I just never seen her so happy. That's
and you
when I
said
know.
that please go ahead.
No, I said that's why I know. It was like I don't think she realized she could be happy by herself. And with him being gone, she was sad at first and was like, "I'm coming over because I want to be here without DJ." But then it was like after a while, I think she realized that she was free,
Yeah.
and she
So let
realized. Go ahead.
no, please, you first always.
No, I just think she realized like when she met the gentleman she met, I think he took her out maybe to eat and
Yeah.
might have gave her some money and might have just did some things to let her feel her worth. Because me being a victim of domestic violence, I know that it can make you feel worthless. It makes you feel ugly. It makes you feel like people don't like you. So when the first person that shows you some attention, you realize you still are worth something. It
Yeah.
feels good. And I think that she experienced that.
Yeah. Well, to physically assault anyone is disgusting,
Yes, it is.
you know, and that's the way our world seems to be violent now more than ever, perhaps.
Definitely.
So you said there were other situations taking place that weren't so bright while he was in and she was out, from October, if you will, to December 6th.
Yeah.
Now, what about these situations might have been making her feel uncomfortable? You said that someone, you mentioned this yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong. People
Okay.
have been coming to the house and watching the house, scaring her, kind
Yeah,
of.
there was she was being stalked. Yeah, he had people watching the house. And
How do you know he had people watching the house?
he told her that he had somebody watching in the house and he seen that she brought somebody home. And like I said, he said, well, my daughter told me, because you know what, somebody always sugarcoat.
So we have a glitch again in this phone. So her phone appears to have glitched. We'll wait until she comes back. If she does, if she doesn't, we're gonna run a part two. My heart's broken for this family, and we're about to get into the worst part
Yeah,
of it
okay.
all.
Okay, I'm back. We switched
There
sides
you
though.
are. Okay. Hey, it's okay. Thank you. So
So yeah, like
you said that he told her he had people watching the house, stalking her,
yes, he did.
to protect her or to just check on her.
No, to watch her because she told him I met somebody and I don't want to be with you anymore.
She told him that in jail.
Yes.
So that just kind of sent him through a whirlwind, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
That's why I feel like the whole situation was so premeditated. I feel like he had this planned out. I just don't understand like how you can hurt somebody you say you love. Why couldn't you have just left or let her go? Like,
So yeah, I'm picking up what you're saying. That's for sure, and I agree. Um, Now let's go to December 6th. He's out. Where
is
does
it
he
too
go?
bright?
What's that?
Is it too bright?
No, you're good. So
Okay.
December 6th, where does he go?
Okay, so December 6th, he goes to the house. And
With
I'm
her.
I'm yes. He showed up at the house. I don't know whether she picked him up or whatever. When she bonded him out, and I was like, "Why are you bonding him out?" And she was like, "Well, it's his money, mom. So I'm just using his money to bond him out." And I'm like, "Okay." And so
So
she was
even
more or
after he
less
physically beat her, she bailed him. She bonded him out.
yeah, and she didn't want to leave him high and dry, like with nothing, So she was trying to let him get himself together. She didn't want to put him out. She wanted him to just, she wanted him to just leave peacefully and pack his stuff up. But the funny thing is, he didn't have that type of family that would accept him with open arms. Like it was multiple times during domestic disputes, he just had nowhere to go. That's background noise. Yeah, he had nowhere to go. So it was like a lot of times I don't know. I don't even know. He just didn't he didn't have the supportive family like my daughter has. So a
Okay.
lot of times she would be the one to leave.
So she just felt for him, said,
Yeah.
I'll bond you out. It's your money. But she was still moving forward in a different direction with her private
Yeah, she
life.
was still moving forward. That week, I know it was my grandson's birthday. So it was an argument because she was gonna have a birthday party with one of her friends. They were gonna combine and it turned into an argument. So I don't know. She ended up having to do the birthday party by herself because he didn't want her to combine the birthday party. So I remember that. And
What day was
then
that?
you know what? I don't
The,
know exactly what day
the
that
next
might have
day after
been.
he got out, the 6th, the 7th?
Yeah, maybe the 6th or the 7th. Yeah. Yeah. So from there, I don't know what day. My son doesn't live here. He lives in Mansfield. But I don't know what day after that they got into it and he choked my baby unconscious. And like she
So
said, when she came to, he was getting dressed leaving.
The
And then
house.
it was another day, she called me like, Mommy, can you come over here? Mommy, talk to him. He over here trying to kill himself. So I
Is
hear
this
gurgling
before
in
all
the
the
background.
situations? Yeah,
Huh?
you hear gurgling in the background. Go ahead, finish
Yeah.
it.
So she like, I'm like, what is he doing? And she's like, he has a trash bag wrapped around his neck, pulling it. So like trying to choke himself. But in my head, suicide, you know how to get it right once. So for me, it was just him getting attention.
Right.
Trying to make her say, oh, don't do this. I love you. I'm going to be with you. But it wasn't working this time because this is not the first occasion. It was another occasion where she was leaving him and he literally was smashing his head in between a car door till he was unconscious.
He was doing that to himself.
Yes. And that was the incident she told me about it. I don't know exactly when it happened, but I was just like, I don't even know what to think. And I mean, I guess it's stupid for me not to look at all of these as being signs, but I could tell her to leave as much as I want to. If she wasn't leaving, I didn't know what to do. All I could do was be there and protect her when she allowed me to.
Yeah.
So after that, it was an incident. I believe it was more around the 8th, maybe the 8th or the 9th. I
Okay.
went over and he answered the door and his face was red. He had a scar under his arm and I just jumped back and I was like, you know what? I'll come back. And so I went and got in my car and my daughter called me like, Mommy, where you going? And I was like, if you guys are fighting, I can't be there around that. I cannot be around that, Infhone. She was like, Mommy, we ain't fighting. He doing that to himself. So I don't know what he was doing to himself to put a scar under his eye. It's like a cut and his face was completely red. Like I just didn't know. And so she asked me to come back and help her with an application for
Yeah.
housing. So I went back and I helped her with her application. And then I ended up leaving. So June 10th, I can't remember like the morning and why we were together, but we spent the whole day together. We
You
shopped,
mean
we laughed.
December, not
I
June
mean, I'm
10th?
sorry. I don't know why I said June. I'm sorry, December 10th. I apologize.
Okay.
December 10th, we just spent the whole day together. And I just remember her sitting in the back seat singing. And I just looked over and I was like, Infhone. I said, you can't sing. And she was like, why, Mommy? I said, because, Infhone, when you're leaving somebody, that's like a slap to the face. You walking around singing and they're angry and you laughing and I'm just like,
But
you
she'd
have
been,
to be careful.
yeah,
She
she was
didn't
just
care.
moving on. Her spirits were
Yeah.
lifted.
She was
And
literally
she's
moving
moving
on.
on because of endless domestic violence. And
Exactly.
we're not talking about words, we're talking about hands.
Exactly. We talking about punches. She was he punched her in her eye one time when they were in Atlanta. Um, Another thing is earlier that week, I have her best friend here with me too, but it was an incident where she went over to her house because he had tapped into her iPhone through an iPad. And so he was getting all of her messages. So he
Yeah.
was responding to her messages like any guys that was texting her, he was responding back to them.
Okay. This
So
is on
she
the
was
10th.
trying to block him. Huh?
This is on the 10th we're at.
Yeah. Well, I think it was going on what day? Oh, she said her best friend said that was on the 8th. And
Okay.
I remember her going, she even literally went to her house to try to have somebody get it off. She came to my house and told me, he was her friend had texted her and then he texted the guy back and was like, um, I don't want to be with you. I want to be with my husband. I want to work on things with my husband. And so when she called the guy, he said he was upset with her. And she was like, what's wrong? He was like, you just text me all that stuff. And she was like, I didn't text you. So that's when she realized that he had her phone hacked also.
So he sent a message to that guy through her
Mm,
phone
yes.
saying that I don't want to be with you, uh, pretending to be her.
Yes. Pretending to
I
be
want to
her.
be with my husband and work things out.
Yes.
And when she called him, she was shocked by
Yeah,
him
she was
telling.
shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So
like,
let's go back to the. Please continue.
no, go ahead.
No, it's please.
No, I just was thinking like, it just seemed like all of her electronics started having issues. Her best friend said something was wrong with her watch the night that my baby came up missing. And so I guess I don't know. I know that I had a friend that was there playing the video game with her husband because he asked me, he said, let me talk to him because he's over here trying to kill himself. Just let me talk to him and talk some sense into him. So
Right.
I left, and eventually, I guess when my daughter came up missing, her husband said that he walked her out to her car before she went to the club, and then my friend was like, no, he didn't walk her out to her car. They was arguing because he had her phone. So prior to her coming up missing, he had her phone. So I don't know what he was doing in it. I don't know whether he was turning off the location or what, but I don't know. Like it caused a problem though.
Let's go to the last car ride that you had with your daughter on the 10th.
Okay.
Pick up clearly, okay?
Okay.
Did you drop her off at home or something like that? When you, because you said
Yeah,
just
she was
I
with
can't, you can't be
me. She was
singing. It
with
makes you
me.
look bad. But she was
Yeah,
just,
she was with me
yeah.
and just laughing. We ended up shopping so much that I had to sit on her lap. And so it was just we were just laughing, and she was like, "You're hurting me." And so I had to lay flat, and we just had a good time. We went and dropped off food to my daycare, and then we went to her house and helped her carry her food in. And then for some reason I was a little tired, so I laid down on her couch and she covered me up with a blanket. And my baby walked out the house at 6:18, and that's the last time I seen my baby alive.
She covered you up with a blanket and
Yeah,
then told you she loves you.
yeah,
So the next day, your daughter's missing.
yeah.
Tell me about how you found out and what transpired there.
So the next day, I knew she went out with her best friend, so they went out to the club and so forth. So I knew she was at the club, but in the morning I got a phone call from her husband saying, "Mommy, where's your daughter at? She didn't come home." So in my head, I'm thinking like, did she meet up with that guy? You know what I'm saying? So that's my
Yeah.
first thought. And I'm just like, oh God, so I'm calling her phone, it's turned off. But I'm so used to her phone being turned off because every time he fights her, he breaks every one of her phones. It's like I'm cleaning out her house now. I swear I got like 15 broke phones, like all of them shattered. So I thought to myself, maybe he broke her phone,
Yeah.
So I'm just calling and calling and calling. And then by maybe 5 that same day, he calls me like, "Mommy, I'm coming over. I'm worried." And I'm like, "Okay, come over." But and now that I think about it, why are you worried? I'm thinking, like she's just out, you know what I'm saying? And maybe turned her
Yeah.
phone off and didn't want to be bothered with him, but he's telling me he's worried already.
Yeah.
So we actually,
When they're
when
already
he,
not together, right?
exactly, he comes over driving a red Acura, I believe it, red, I mean, not Acura, a red car. I don't know whose car it was. And so me and my friend decided to go over to her house and maybe look for foul play.
Okay.
So we yeah, look for foul play. It's a little bit tough. No, try to look for foul play. So we tell him like, you know what, we're gonna go get some clothes for the kids.
Right.
And he gives us the code to the house. So we're in the house. I go straight to the basement. He goes straight upstairs. We're looking around, and then he walks in right behind us. Mind me, I stay almost 15 minutes from their house. So that means as soon as we headed to that house, he headed over there behind us.
Wow.
And he walked in and he went to the cabinet and pulled something like narcotics or something out the cabinet. It was like, I still got to make money. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do, And we're just looking at him like, because we by this time we worried, we starting to worry because he's worried. Like we're wondering why he's so worried,
Yeah. So you said that
So
you picked some narcotics up out of the cabinet. Are you
yeah,
positive it was narcotics?
yeah, I'm positive.
And he
Yeah,
said,
I'm
what do
positive.
you expect? I got to make money.
Yeah, because we're looking at him like, is this what you thinking about? Like why so by then I put a missing person report. Well, I told him to file a missing persons report.
Right.
He did that, and then I almost thought he didn't do it, but I guess he did. And then I put it up on Facebook like, my daughter is missing. Has anybody seen my daughter? So it turned into kind of a witch hunt. Then people were
So,
searching. People was go ahead.
no, please. So it turned into an immediate witch hunt. I mean,
Yes.
or queen hunt. because your daughter's missing. So people around the
Yeah,
city start catching on to this, saying, "Yo, we're
that's a
looking for
good
a
saying,
missing
Queen
woman."
Hunt.
Walk us through that. Go ahead.
Like,
I think, you know why I use the word witch hunt? Because they were attacking everybody. Everybody was getting accused. They accused me. They accused the dude Jonathan. It was like people that don't even know what's going on is just accusing. They accused her best
Yeah, no
friend. You know
names.
what I'm saying?
No names.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but so it was just like that's why I called it a witch hunt because it turned on a lot of people, and it's only one person I felt like was involved.
Right.
And so from there it was searches. We were searching. It was people putting on Facebook that sightings of her, and she was here and she was there. We up at 4:30 in the morning looking through dumpsters for my baby, and
Uh,
just looking, and then we were in Nelson Park, looking through the woods, and I got a text message that stated missing woman found in car, 2000 Winslow Drive off of Alum Creek. I instantly got in the car and went over there, and it was my daughter's car, roped off, and I just hit the ground. I screamed, I cried, I fought the police. My son, yeah, my baby was dead. She was stabbed to death. She was stabbed 3 times in her left breast, twice in her face.
so
She
her
had an abrasion to her forehead, like somebody hit her with something. She was beaten. She was on the passenger side of her car. And that's one thing one of the officers said is that no woman is gonna let a stranger drive their car.
yeah,
She was comfortable.
she trusted whoever she was with.
Yeah. She trusted him.
She was found in the passenger side of the vehicle.
Yeah.
3 days later, after the witch hunt, as you put it, right?
Yes. Yes.
yeah, that
And
her
her
husband
and
was
she
a
was
whole part
found.
of.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh,
Her husband was a part of. He was helping the search.
yeah, he helped us search.
The husband helped you search.
Yes, he
Yes,
helped us the whole time.
Was he with you when
they
you
found
got the
her.
call? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And so what was his response when you pull up to the scene? His wife's dead.
So my thing is this. I was so out of it. I never looked at him. But the detective said
He
it
sat in
was
the car for like 15, 20 minutes before he got out
Never
to
was he
figure out
crying
what
or
the fuck was
anything, or
going on.
what was going on?
No, it was just like a shock face. Like
Yeah.
just a shock face. It wasn't a crying. It wasn't like how the mom and brothers and grandma and uncles, friends, and everybody, aunts and uncles was going off. He was just in shock. This is your wife, some lady that you was laying with, you got kids with for 5 years, and you didn't even have no emotion about it. It's crazy.
Well, to be fair, people deal with trauma in many different ways. Okay.
different
No,
ways.
definitely,
They
definitely. I
do.
take that into consideration, definitely,
And I'm
because
just
at
playing
that
the devil's
time,
advocate here, if you will. I'm not calling anybody the devil either. That's just a
Yeah, because
saying, right?
we are
yeah,
So,
curious.
how long was it until he got out of the vehicle?
I told you like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, forgive me.
Yeah,
Um, so, and did the officers find his behavior odd? What did they ever
Yes,
say to
they
they
you?
said it
did.
was a little strange,
They said that he found it very. The detective said, "I find it very odd his reaction to you guys' reaction."
and he hasn't. Never mind.
Yeah, because we.
And he hasn't what?
He hasn't contacted, to our knowledge, the detectives or any police to follow up on what happened to his wife or even where his children are safe. So
Don't
we
bring the
just
kids
find
up.
that crazy.
So yeah, I do find that interesting. Um, let's go back to the day when you're on the scene.
Okay.
What was it, the 14th?
Now, the traumas that were left on her body. You said there's abrasions to her head, like she had been
Yeah, she looked
beaten.
like she had been hitting her head with something. She was stabbed in her face twice, and she was stabbed in her left breast
She
Three
was
times.
stabbed in her face twice,
Twice.
Twice.
and she was stabbed in her left breast.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
And it was that left stab, potentially in the breast, which pierced her heart and killed her.
Yes, it pierced her heart.
Is that according to autopsies as well?
Yes, according to the autopsy. The autopsy also says that the crime happened in the car because I couldn't figure out whether it happened at her house or where. So that means to me, somebody had to either drive my baby out there or lure her out there. To
Right.
Oh, you gotta watch what you're saying.
So did you just walk me through what's happened since then and now?
Right.
I want you to go ahead and walk through the entire situation of what happened since that day and now in your life and with the detectives, what you've been experiencing.
So I was getting a bit of cooperation from the detective for a while, and they were we were getting some. I felt like we were getting close, and I feel like we have a lot of evidence. I feel like I know the red car that was found in my driveway was stolen and was reported stolen the day that my daughter's body was found.
Say
So
that
at
again.
the red car, it was a red car that was in my driveway that her husband was driving
He
that
drove
was
it to your
reported
house
stolen.
the day that she went missing. He drove it to your house.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes. And it was reported stolen the day my daughter's body was found. That to me should have said something,
Yeah.
the police had to surround my house and take that car, and then from there, it just, I don't know, everything to me from there was weird. Just like once we went and seen my daughter's body for
Yeah.
sure and seen, how she was beat up and how she was stabbed, we just instantly knew. The other suspect was released and not even given a polygraph test because they instantly said, Rose, he didn't do it. And I said, I know. They just knew. Like they said he didn't. So whatever alibi, whatever went on, he was nowhere near anything. You know, um, I feel like now it's gotten to the point where I'm still calling. And it's been 3 weeks since I talked to the detective, and it's just like it's breaking my heart. I cry every day. It's
Yeah.
breaking my heart because I feel like it's so much evidence. It's so much evidence out here, and I just don't understand why he has not been picked up yet.
Well,
I've been
there
harassed by the
is
family. I've been,
there is a ton of
called
evidence.
liars. Huh?
There's a ton of evidence, and
Yes.
um, I don't know everything that you want me to say publicly in regards to that evidence, but you've had private investigators and their
Yeah, and
facilities.
that's why I'm kind of pausing too because there's some stuff I don't even want them to know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I
I
feel
think,
like,
please,
go ahead.
no, please. You feel like what?
No, I just feel like I don't know, like as far as everything, like the legality of everything. I don't know what I want to put out there. I don't want to give anybody a chance to fix anything that they've messed up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't.
So here's
It's
the
like
thing. Let's talk about what is then, because this is your testimony,
okay,
and consider yourself under oath in a way. Okay.
okay,
Um, you said the day that your daughter's body was found,
mm-hmm,
slain, and what looks to be a crime of passion. You don't
yes,
just go knifing people like crazy like that.
no,
Um, if it's just some random person, and she's found
exactly,
in the passenger side of her car with what looks to be a scene of where you would trust someone in her own
yes,
vehicle, right?
yeah,
So that same day she was found, the red car that her husband drove to your house on the 11th, 3 days prior, when he said, Mommy, she's missing, it was
mm-hmm,
the red car that was reported stolen.
yes. Her best friend also said that same red car was following them that night.
Her best
was
friend that was
following
with
her.
her the last night that she was seen.
Yes, and she's here too. If you have any questions for her.
Just let her answer this question.
Okay. Step in. Okay. Hey, hello.
Hey, how are you? You were with Infhone the last night of
So you don't say
her
nothing to
here,
me?
right?
Yes.
And let me hear what you experienced that night when you were out with her.
Okay. Well, it was during around like, when COVID first started. So it was like a little bit more of me leaving around 7 o'clock, to beat the 10 o'clock curfew.
Yeah.
So when she came, we ride, and actually someone else had picked us up. So my truck and her truck was left at my house, and we jumped in the car with someone else.
Uh-huh.
So, we out, and about 10 o'clock we come back to my house, and we now get in my truck, and her truck is still left at my house. And we go to another bar, and we're out, you know, having normal life, normal talk.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like on the way back, her words was like a little bit more like, how can I explain it? Like she was reaching out to me a little bit more than she did, because for one, she was married. So we don't really talk about our problems, as far as relationship problems, because I'm not in a relationship, so I can't really give too much advice. But it was just like I'm tired of, you know, dealing with this. And the credit card situation came up, and I'm just writing, and I'm just listening, and usually listening to music. So it was just like a conversation that, that she just kept talking to me and telling me, like, I don't want to go home. Like, I'm just tired of this whole situation. And I kept telling her, like, you can come to my house. She came to my house plenty of times and stayed the night and got up and went to work. But it was just something about this night that seemed weird, because she was like, just, I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. And it's like, I just know that wherever she went, she was with somebody who she knew, because we don't meet out with nobody that we don't know.
Right.
And it just hurt my feelings, because for me to go in my house and her to get in her car, and we don't know what happened, it's just like, I get confused. Like, when somebody's sitting outside my house, like on the ride there, like, people said that they seen this person out like the same day. And it's just, how is you supposed to be out when you're supposed to be in with y'all's kids? It's just a whole bunch of questions that's still left unanswered. And I just don't have no understanding. Like, it instantly, just by, I knew what had happened, how she had passed. I just knew. It took me 7 days to figure out what happened to my friend, and I know what happened to my friend. I know what happened. I asked her to tell me
In
what
your heart of
happened.
hearts.
Say that again.
In your heart of hearts, you know.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It took me 7 days to put it together. Like, I'm a detective. Like, I feel like I didn't put the whole scene together.
Yep.
And it's like, it's hurting more and more and more, because how does we knew and we know, but it's like nothing's getting done. But we know, it takes time for something like this. But we just need more answers. And it's like nobody's saying anything. It just seems like it's unfair. I
Right.
know, I know exactly what happened. It replays in my head every day.
So
I know what happened to my
I
friend.
can I can only imagine it's the last day you got to spend with her, and you'll
Yes,
hold that day in your heart
yes,
forever,
yes,
forever.
forever. Every Thursday is our ladies' night, is our boss night. We go out, we have fun, we celebrate us being moms, us just succeeding and not being where we used to be at. Like, we didn't
Yeah.
grown so much. Like, I'm a little bit older than her, but to see her and the things that she did was like, I'm proud of you. Like, we bosses. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like we'd have any threat to nobody out here. I don't feel like somebody would just come up and attack me or her. Like, we don't have no type of trouble in the world. She's not a small girl. Like, the way
Yeah.
she was this place was like somebody actually did that to her. That was abusive. That was abuse. Somebody did that to her. They
When you were out
meant
that
to do
night,
that.
let me just shift gears with you. When you were out that night, and I want to get back to the mom, and I want you to know my heart's with you. I love you deeply, okay? And we stand with you. The mom had mentioned that the red car that was reported stolen, that her husband drove over to the mom's house, who's present in this conversation.
Yes.
When you were out, was that the same car that was following you?
Yes, and it's another person who I had to tangle words with, because it was like, okay, how did you see him? And he was supposed to be in somewhere else. That's the only thing. Like, how could he possibly be in where we was at when he was supposed to be in elsewhere with the kids? That's the, it doesn't make any sense. So now it's like, then her fiddling with her watch. I'm thinking like she's looking for something, but she got her phone on her watch, like, pretty much like, my watch is not working. My watch is not working.
Yeah.
And I don't really know about a Apple Watch, so it wasn't really too much that I could say on that behalf.
Okay. So,
And this was around 8:30.
yeah, you were being followed by the red car.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for dedicating your time and
Most
interest
definitely.
on this matter. Hey, Rosemarie.
Yes, I'm here.
Um, so what ended up happening with the red vehicle? Because where we left off, that car's still in your driveway.
Yeah, the car was still in my my driveway. I gave the information to the detective. He didn't follow up. So I had another friend that I contacted and was like, I don't know why he didn't follow up on this car and it's still sitting here. And he was like, send me the information. And he called me back in 1 hour and was like, flat those tires. That car is reported stolen the day your daughter came up missing, or the day your daughter's body was found. And
Oh my
so he was
gosh.
like, it could be evidence in there. It could be anything in there. He was like, do not let that car move. And he sent police over and they can't really surround my house, but they took up that whole street.
Oh yeah. And did you reach out to the husband at this point in time and say, hey, is this your car?
Yeah, I called him. Her brother, Infinite's brother, was like, call him and ask him. He was like, that's such and such's car. That's his car. So I called him and I was like, did you drive a red car over here? He was like, yeah, is it still there? And her brother was like, if you drove it, why wouldn't it be there?
And this is the car that he drove over the morning she was missing. This is the
Yes.
car that was reported stolen at
Yes.
the day your daughter was found murdered. And
Yes.
he's admitting to this being his car
Yes.
and the fact that he drove it over that day.
And the police told me that they could have arrested him just on, the stolen car and nothing never happened. Like, I just don't feel like I'm getting no justice here. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm 3 weeks ago, he snatched one of my grandbabies. So
Yeah.
now I have a restraining order. I'm like, they're turning my life into shambles. And I feel like I'm the normal person now. I have to fear for my life because they're not doing their job.
So where did the car end up going?
I don't know. They took it, and I guess I don't know where they took it to. They towed it, but they got back with me and told me it was a 65-year-old man that he believes had no connection to her husband. But guess what? I know the person where they were located, and I was cleaning her house out maybe a couple days ago, and I found a check with that person's name to her husband, and it was September. It had the date of September of 2020.
How
That
much was
doesn't
that check
sound like
for?
somebody that doesn't know them.
Right. How much was the check for? Do you recall?
Like $150. For some reason, it must have been some type of regular drug transaction, because I found multiple checks. I found the keys to the red car. I found IDs. I found all types of stuff and turned it all into the detective. And I just haven't, nothing's happened.
So a car that's potentially, clearly, obviously,
The
potentially
getaway
here,
car.
attached to a homicide, and the eyewitnesses that were with the individual that was homicide say, hey, this is the same car that followed us over. The
Yeah.
cops take the vehicle and return it to the owner.
Yes.
And
Yes.
let's get into the police and how they've dealt with you in this situation.
At
What
first,
happened immediately with the detectives?
you said what?
What happened with the detectives in this case so
Well,
far?
first off,
Since the day of.
immediately when my case was given to the detective, he went on vacation.
And how long was that vacation?
I think 2 weeks, because I didn't hear anything.
So this detective from Columbus CPD, right?
Yes.
He goes on a 2-week vacation right after
Yes.
getting a homicide put on his desk.
Yeah.
So much for the first 48, right?
Right. Okay.
And
So
then,
then he comes back to work and is reported to have COVID. So guess what? That's another 2 weeks.
so he comes back from vacation, reports having COVID, and takes another 2 weeks breaks. So that's 4 weeks
Yes.
total, if you will, perhaps more with leeway.
Pretty
That
much.
he hasn't
I
even
think
looked
I
into your case.
I think I might have spoke to him one time for him to ask me who did I think done it, and I told him, and he
Yes.
made the remark, "Well, why is he laying up in your bed with you?" And I'm like, "Because y'all haven't given me any information. I didn't even know like how my daughter was found. I didn't know how long she had been there. I didn't know anything. I mean, in my mind, it was racing. I'm thinking human trafficking. I'm thinking, did she just get put there? I didn't know anything. So how can I can assume? But once I found out when it happened, and once I seen how it happened, I was able to put it together. But when you give me not one lick of like information, and by then, guess what? I had already got permission from the apartment complex. They let me watch the video of my baby being
Correct.
placed in that parking lot.
Correct. And guess what? I went through and inspected the area as a legal video specialist and media documentarian and notary. And what I
Uh-huh.
can say is there were cameras on site. We've had professional investigation units inspect the video,
Uh-huh.
and they said the gate was awfully similar to someone that we're thinking is attached, right?
Exactly.
So if anything happens to anyone, all this evidence will be leaked. And
Yes, it will.
I'm going to be clear about that. But
Thank
we're
you.
holding the system accountable for a family that's seeking justice and getting deferred. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, right?
Yeah.
And what we see in our society is a 3-step process. It goes from pain, and pain left untouched, it turns to anger, and anger left unjust, it turns to rage. Well, you're on the brink of having another situation because the cops or the detectives, if you will, are failing, as you feel, your family by not even talking to you openly about the situation or looking at the evidence.
Definitely. I've given multiple leads for them to talk to people, and they schedule a week later instead of going out immediately. And then I got people getting scared. It's like when you know that somebody knows something, you should go to them immediately.
Right.
And it's
We
like
also
one
have
minute
we
they'll
also
be
have
ready to talk,
statements.
next minute they're unavailable.
Right. And we also have statements from second party that was involved in the homicide, and he
Yes.
admitted to it, didn't he?
Yes.
So why don't you say that in your own words?
It was told to me that another person was involved, and he said that I stabbed her once, but her husband stabbed her the rest of the times. And I'm not going to jail for my nigga. We already got away with one homicide, but this body is applying a lot of pressure.
I hope you heard that, little world. The evidence is unbelievable. And we're not accusing anyone of this murder, but we're asking that this family gets justice, that they have professionalism and communication, because it's situations like this that can get even worse. And
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
why what
Like I'm
happens
not
in the
supposed to be
dark,
scared for my life. I'm scared for
nah,
my
Exactly.
life.
Like all
nah,
of us got to pull off from over here to figure out what's going to happen from us doing this. But we love info, so oh
We got
well,
to do it.
we have to let it out. Nobody else is doing it for us.
right. And what happens in the dark needs to be brought into the light, not just pushed under the rug.
Definitely it does. I know I get threats and people saying that I'm wrong and he didn't do this, but at the end of the day, I want every person. Like I'm not doing this out of hate. I'm doing this out of love for my daughter. And I want everybody to put themselves in a mother's position. I don't care if you related to them or if you nothing. Like, I put yourself in a mother's position and look at the facts. Look at the facts.
Yeah. As a mother, this is your opportunity to just share what you want to see done differently in this situation.
I want justice. I want justice for my daughter. I want justice for Infhone Mills. I want him arrested, and I want him to stand his day in court. I want anybody that had anything to do with it arrested. It was even reports that he called his mother and told his mother. I want anybody that's aiding and abetting this situation. I want them incarcerated.
Period.
Because I love my kids, but I would never allow my kids to do something like this, and I would harbor them or hide them. I would never do this.
The shoe was on the other foot and it would be Infhone that we would be hiding, she wouldn't have been hiding this long. We would have got it together, got her a lawyer, and made her face what she did.
Definitely.
That goes for any of our kids. We don't uphold that type of shit. It's not right.
It's a sickness.
That's sickness. That's demonism. We don't support that. That's not us.
Well, we're not pointing the finger, but we're saying, I'm sorry, please, again.
No, you're right. No, I'm just saying, I just appreciate the opportunity of being able to speak.
Well, may your voice never be silenced. And I want to thank you for coming up,
Thank you.
And reaching out. Because that's what it's all about. Justice advocacy is not pretty work. But someone's got to do it. And you are an advocate for justice.
Yes.
And I just want you to know, those who we hold in our hands for a short while, we hold in our heart forever. So,
yeah,
Infhone's, she's going to live strong through her babies. And you have her children now, right?
Yes, I do.
He's never even tried to get his own kids. Is that accurate?
Yeah, accurate.
And how are those babies doing?
They're excellent. They're good. They ask about their mom. I just created something. I've actually started a nonprofit for Infhone called A Rose for Infhone. So we're going to start doing something called Mommy Mondays.
Okay.
Where whatever their mom used to do with them, they can tell me and we can go do it. And I'm going to have to put up pictures and things because they're really starting to get weak. Like they're really realizing they're 3, 4, and 9. And I think that they thought she was coming back and they're really now realizing, like, what am I going to do without my mom?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep her alive, and for me too, because I miss her so much. I miss her so much. And it's just, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how to live without her now, how to live without her. Because she did not deserve this. She did not deserve this. He could have let her go. He loved my baby to death. And I'm just mad. I'm angry. I'm angry that he didn't consider all the other people that this was going to hurt.
Well, you have an entire private community standing with you and your family.
Thank you.
Have the detectives been in touch with you since you've been feeling like
I've been reaching out to him for 3 weeks now, and I haven't heard anything. I watch the news every day. No, I left messages. I watch the news every day because I'm just looking for them to pick him up because I'm just like, how are you not?
Right.
My phone is looking like it's about to go.
It's okay. Well,
it's going to go dead.
Be mindful that, as odd as it sounds, the children that day lost their mommy and their daddy,
Yes, that's how I feel too. I feel the same way. You think I wish he didn't do this, I'm hoping, but I just feel like a mother knows. And I watched all the steps up to the day of,
Yeah.
and they were all negative.
What's if have you tried to reach out to him?
No, I can't even face him. And
Yeah.
then after he snatched my grandson, I just don't. I have a restraining order against him now. And the crazy part is the restraining order that he brought my grandson back, but he gave an address, once again, a fake address. They can't even serve him.
Hmm. For what? What was the charge on that?
Interference with custody, snatching my grandson.
So he's got a charge out on him for that now.
Yeah.
And how long ago was that? Did that take place?
This was almost 3 weeks ago.
It's over a month ago.
Yeah.
And it's been even longer since you've talked to a detective.
No, it's been about 3 weeks. I talked to the detective. The detective, I don't know if he realizes this, but he repeats the same thing over and over.
So it's potential that her phone went dead here. But we're looking for justice in any situation. And be mindful that to do justice is to love kindness. And we're not accusing anybody in these situations, but families need to have a platform to speak their voice. Without it being cut or a fed narrative or paid narrative. So
I put it in and went straight to zero.
I'm with you. You there? So at the end of the day, we want to see things done properly for the people. We want to see justice be swift and it be pure and accurate, and that hope isn't deferred or delayed because of the 3-step process from pain to anger to rage. That's why we need to be mindful of the steps that are taking place in our lives, not just in domestic situations or homicides, even the simple things. Because at the end of the day, potentially it's all small stuff and nothing matters more than life itself. So if you know something about the situation, reach out to our agency or the family, please. Or any situation. If you have a situation taking place with your family or friends, this is a platform for you to share that as well. And we have attorneys, many different facets of the law that watch these things and make things happen, as people saw from the last thing that we covered. But if you want a better world, you have to build a better you. So build it. Do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly. Together, we're limitless. Be one, Wolfpack. We're seeking justice for Anthony. And if you know something, say something. Simple. Be the change.